Good evening. I'm Josh Jones alongside my colleagues Chris Petosa.
Hello, Josh. Good evening. How are you?
Good evening, Chris. I'm well. Jameson Stummer.
Good evening, Josh. How are you today?
I'm excellent, Jameson. How about yourself?
I'm great. Pleasure to be reporting with you.
You too, Jameson. Today we will be discussing ancient Persia, and we have broken it down into 5 main categories to help you further understand it. The categories consist of geography, archaeology, art and architecture, the economy, and political science. Here to go in depth with you on art and architecture is Jameson Stummer. Jameson?
Good evening, Fox News fans. I am going in depth with the art and architecture of ancient Persia. There were temples made for worship and social gatherings. Mausoleums were erected in honor of fallen kings and leaders. For example, Cyrus the Great had a mausoleum of his own. Architecture, the Persian architecture incorporates Assyrian, Median, and Greek culture, yet still maintains its Persian identity. One example of art found would be the Winged Sphinx from the palace of Darius the Great at Susa. Most buildings and temples were made of glazed brick masonry and or precious metals. The art of ancient Persia is both decorative and religious. The one example of architecture would be the Royal Road, which stretches across the entire empire from the Aegean Sea to Iran. It is a major trade route, and it is made of cobble pavement. Now to you, Chris.
Thank you, Stummer, for art and architecture. I will now be describing to you the archaeology of ancient Persia. There were town cemeteries and burial grounds whose creation and continuity reflect the broad spectrum of the community's history and culture. There were beautifully designed garden cemeteries that served as places of rest and recreation. Graveyards that formed an important part of the historic setting for a church or other religious buildings being nominated. Formal cemeteries whose collections of tombs, sculptures, and markers possesses artistic and architectural significance. Single or grouped gravestones that represent a distinct folk tradition. Graves or graveyards whose survival is a significant or the only reminder of an important person, culture, or event. Burial places whose location, grave markers, landscaping, or other physical attributes tell us something important about the people who created them. Over to you, Josh.
Thank you, Chris. I will be talking to you about the economy of ancient Persia. The economy of ancient Persia revolutionized the way economies were established and set a precedent for future economies to follow. The Persians used gold and silver as a coinage system, and trade too became important also. Under the Achaemenid Empire, efficient infrastructure helped to facilitate the empire, the exchange of common commodities among the empire's outskirts. Because of the trade booming, Persian words soon spread to the Middle East and eventually came to the United States. Some of these words include bazaar, shawl, sash, turquoise, tiara, orange, lemon, melon, peach, spinach, and asparagus. Trade became one of the Persian Empire's main sources of revenue and capital gain, along with agriculture and tribute. Instead of destroying economies, the Persian Empire worked to get trade going throughout their kingdom. They standardized weights, developed official coinage, and came up with laws. In order to prevent bad things from happening, leaders required the full cooperation of their people. They imposed a 20% tax on agriculture and manufacturing goods, despite the fact they had never been taxed for this before. However, the Persians themselves paid no taxes.
And we will be right back after these commercial messages.
I am Alexander III, here to show you, and I conquered the Persian Empire, and I'm here to show you the Stanley 99E box cutter, which has proven to be a great tool in the process of conquering ancient Persia. If you would like to have great power, go buy your own for $9.99 at Walmart.
Thank you, Jameson, for that lovely commercial message, and we'll kick it right back to you with more archaeology and fascinating things about ancient Persia.
I am here to present the political scientific evidence of ancient Persia. The Persian administration system was far more efficient and humane than the Assyrians. The empire was divided into 20 different provinces or satrapies, and it was ruled by a government called a satrap. To check on the governors, a secretary and a military official representing the great king were in every province. Special inspectors were called the eyes and ears of the king. Imperial roads connected royal cities. The king couriers could get fresh horses. It let them cover the 1,600-mile route of the royal road in 1 week. The Persian Empire was the first to attempt to include several different racial groups. They were the first to include civil rights in their empire. As long as the citizens paid their taxes, the king would not interfere with local religion, customs, or trade. This empire lasted from 559 BC to 330 BC. In 330 BC, Alexander III invaded Iran and overthrew the Achaemenid dynasty. When he overthrew the dynasty, he burned palaces and the library at Persepolis. Now to Chris.
Thank you, Stummer, for that political science. I will be talking about the geography of ancient Persia. At first, this region was dozens of tiny kingdoms. Eventually, out of these tiny kingdoms, there were two major powers that emerged, the Medes and the Persians. In time, a remarkable ruler would lead Persia to dominate the Medes and found a large empire. The rest of the world paid little attention to the Persians until about 550 BC. In that year, Cyrus, Persia's king, began to conquer neighboring kingdoms. He controlled an empire that spanned 2,000 miles from the Indus River in the east to Anatolia in the west. His son, Cambyses, named after his grandfather, expanded the empire by conquering Egypt. The next leader, Darius, led his armies eastward into the mountains of present-day Afghanistan and down into the river valleys of India. After this, the empire was now extending over 2,500 miles. It's pretty big. Egypt and Anatolia in the west, part of India in the east, and the Fertile Crescent in the middle. The only part that was failed to be conquered was Greece. Their defenses were too strong. The famous royal road ran from Susa in Persia to Sardis in Anatolia. It was a total distance of 1,677 miles long. There were 111 post or relay stations spaced out about every 15 miles. It is located now in present-day Middle East. They were not isolated from other civilizations in the region since they were able to conquer other civilizations so easily. They were also exposed to the Caspian Sea, the Black Sea, Mediterranean Sea, Red Sea, Aral Sea, Persian Gulf, and the Arabian Sea. And I have a map to show you. The Persian homeland is this little circle right here. That's where they began. Conquest of Cyrus is the lighter green. That has all this area because Cyrus conquered all of it. And then the conquest of his son, Cambyses, are the darker green on the very outside. As you can see, Egypt, because he took over Egypt. Up here by Afghanistan, the mountains. And then down here a little bit. And then the conquest of Darius I, the ruler after him, are in yellow, right about up here by the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea, by Italy. As you can see from this map, that over time, a civilization can really develop.
Signing off for Fox News, I am Jameson, he is Josh, and he is Chris.
Okay, we have 50 seconds to kill. What do you want to do now?
Ew!
Oh. It's bloopers!
Ew!
Ew!
Oh my god, Jameson.
So, you kind of look like Steve.
Jameson, you were so stupid. It literally took us 4.5 hours to get you to read one paragraph.
One paragraph
Cool.
of 10 minutes. I mean, come on, Jameson.
You were just ridiculously stupid. Like,
You're ridiculously
give me
stupid.
the fucking box cutter. You're not allowed to have this. Jesus Christ.
Josh, you're so weird. I mean, we've been doing this for about, what, like 40 minutes?
Yeah,
No,
exactly.
I'm just kidding, 40 hours?
Yeah, seriously. It's
I mean,
taking us way too much
bloopers.
time.
These are bloopers, but you know.
Jameson is
I mean,
just...
Jameson literally
Jameson-
just kind of...
is too retarded.
Jameson is just Jameson Stummer.
Stop.
That's
Oh!
all. 'Cause he kind of just shoots himself in the head.
Execution.
But that is our project. Thank you very much.
Good night, everyone.
Good
That
night.
was so